What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host, Caleb. If you want to support me, you can now follow me on Patreon. It's my way to hopefully give back to you while making this my full-time job. You can also just use the TCGplayer link in the description down below, or as always, liking, commenting, subscribing, and then don't forget to follow me on moxfield. That's the best way for you to copy these deck lists, tweak them to your liking, playtest them online, and do all of that great stuff. Now, let's get into today's Precon Upgrade with Eldrazi Unbound. And honestly, this was not the treat the Enchantments one was. This one's not a lot of card draw and a lot of ramp with a lot of removal. The only problem is you could just drop your whole hand of mana rocks and then top deck for the rest of the game. That's a problem. So I had to add a lot of card draw to this deck, so there's not as much fun includes, but there is some bombs. This is also going to be a $50 upgrade. Now I know that's kind of a lot, but this is a colorless deck, so that does take a lot of the options away. And again, everybody that's making a colorless deck is going to use those options. It's also the culprit of like 2 different cards. So if you cut those cards, this goes to like a $30 Precon upgrade, which is not terrible. So without further ado, let's get into these upgrades. I would also like to mention we will be going over some non-budget options at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now let's get into these upgrades. Karn Legacy Reforged. Honestly, you could take this card and put it at the lead of the deck, and the deck is going to be better. Having that big Eldrazi in the 99 is going to be better than having it at the helm, because honestly, you cast it, it does nothing until next turn when you can drop a 7-drop onto the battlefield and start cascading. But again, that's assuming you have 7 mana. Karn is going to be a lot more consistent, but again, if not, you can just throw him in the 99 and he's going to be an amazing card that's going to provide a lot of mana. Blinkmoth Urn. This does an amazing impression of Karn. This is going to add a ton of mana to your mana pool every turn. Palantir of Orthanc. Now, this one is pretty expensive, but honestly, it's going to be a bomb in the deck. You get a Scry 2, and then you get a draw a card. And if you don't get a draw a card, you're going to mill a lot of cards, and then someone's going to take a lot of damage. 9 times out of 10, they're just going to give you the card. Tamiyo's Journal. Yes, it's 5 mana, but 5 mana is not going to be hard to hit in this deck, and then you're just going to get consistent card draw every turn. If you find yourself not needing the card advantage, it even turns itself into a tutor. Treasure Map. This is going to scry. It's going to give you a lot of treasure tokens for an explosive turn, and then you can sacrifice those treasure tokens to draw cards. Wandering Archeac. This is basically just going to steal everybody's card draw spells, everybody's ramp, and be a menace, but it doesn't stop them from doing what they want to do, and it just gives us value, so it's going to stick on the battlefield for a little longer than you would expect. Mind's Eye. Again, we are going to have access to a lot of mana, so then just paying 1 every time someone draws a card, letting us draw a card is going to be pretty good in this deck. Moon Silver Key. This is going to get our best mana rock onto the battlefield, and we do run a lot of spicy mana rocks in this deck. Lore Seeker's Stone. Now it is 6 mana, but hey, it is giving you an option to draw more than 1 card, especially if you have a lot of mana, which this deck does produce a ton of mana. Karn Scion of Urza. Yes, it lets an opponent choose, but still it's some early card advantage. 4 mana is early in this deck, I know that's insane, but it's some early card advantage that's going to be pretty solid. Skyclave Relic. For 6 mana, you're going to get 3 indestructible mana rocks, which is going to be super good because they're going to be really resilient to those board wipes. 2 Expedition Map. We're running this because they are using the Urza lands, so if we can connect all 3 of those Urza lands, we're just adding 6 mana to our mana pool instead of 3, and that can be extremely powerful. Empowered Auto Generator. Now this is a mana rock that comes onto the battlefield and just keeps generating more and more mana, ramping up, which is exactly what this deck wants to do. Canoptic Wraith. It's very slow, but also gives you 2 lands onto the battlefield, so you can't really complain. And last but not least, we have Planar Bridge. For 8 mana, you can search up any card in your library and throw it onto the battlefield. 8 mana is exactly what we're trying to get to in this deck, so that's not that insane of an ask. Skittering Invasion seems especially good here, since all of our 7-drops have Cascade, so now we cast this spell, we're going to get some Scions to cast more spells, and it's going to cascade for 2. Seems busted. Ulamog's Crusher is incredibly budget and it has Annihilator too, so you're just going to be attacking with this guy, making people sacrifice everything. Now moving on to those non-budget options, we have more card draw with the Immortal Sun. Not only will this shut down Planeswalkers, we're going to get an additional card, it's going to lower the cost of our spells, and it's going to be a small Anthem. This card does a little bit of everything and it's incredibly useful in the deck. The One Ring, this card's just busted. You get protection from everything and solid card advantage, plus people can't remove it because it has Indestructible. indestructible. Void Winnower. We're gonna go half the game without being able to cast spells. Our opponent should have to go the other half without being able to cast spells. This card just shuts down decks. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. This one's insane. It's going to destroy a permanent whenever it enters. It has Annihilator 4, Indestructible, and then it has Cascade because of our commander. Seems decent. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. This guy just comes in, exiles 2 permanents, he's indestructible, and then he just starts exiling people's libraries. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. This guy will draw you 4 cards, and then he has Annihilator 4. That's enough. Emrakul the Promised End. Emrakul, this card's a little busted. You're just gonna flat take over someone's turn. You can sabotage them in any way, use their turn to kill another player and then kill them. It's honestly a busted card that wins you the game. That's gonna do it for all the budget and non-budget upgrades. If you want to see what I cut, go head down to that moxfield link in the description down below. Don't forget to follow me, sort by tags, and it'll show everything I add, all the non-budget ads, and then all of the cards I cut. As always, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors, and I will see you in the next one.